This Photoshop tutorial is how to use layer masks for dodge and burn purposes. I've opened an image here of the harbour wall at Berwick-on-Tweed, and I want to make the sky a little bit more moody. So I'm going to use an adjustment layer, which is down here on the little black and white circle, and I'm going to choose a levels adjustment layer. Now with this layer I'm going to make the image overall slightly darker. So I'm going to slide the shadow slider up slightly that way and then just minimize that to get that out of the way. And when you choose an adjustment layer, you automatically get a layer mask supplied with that adjustment layer. So here it's shown as this white square. Now the way I want to use this is to invert this layer. So all I have to do is make sure the layer mask is active and it has these little white corners on when it's active, and then I'm going to go Command I, which is invert, and you see that the layer mask is now showing black, or on a PC it will be Control I. So now I choose myself a brush, so I go over to the left and pick a brush tool, and I have to make sure that this is a large soft brush, so make sure the hardness slider is right down to 0%, and something like a 1000 pixel brush will suit my needs, so click off there. Also make sure that your opacity on the brush is quite low, somewhere around 20%. So that you can get a subtle sort of building effect. And then all you have to do is make sure your foreground colour on the little swatch down here is white, and then paint over your areas that you want to darken, and you can gradually see this building up. You can click on and click off and paint over here until you get a darker or ominous looking sky. Carry on burning that in until it looks more or less how I want it. And I can click on the layer visibility control, and that shows you how much progress you've made with the burning in of the sky. If you do go a little bit too dark in some areas and you want to reverse the effect that you've had, all that you need to do is change your foreground colour on the colour picker to black instead of white by just toggling this little arrow next to it. And you can paint in black, and that gradually lightens your image again with the effect of dodging some of the darkness away. And if I click again here on the visibility, you can see that it's just slightly lessened the effect. But I'm going to undo that because I quite liked it dark and moody. So I'm going to undo that last action. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is use the same method to dodge some of the darkness away on this sea wall. I think it might look slightly more effective if I have a little bit more lightness on this area. So I'm going to choose another adjustment layer, a levels adjustment layer, and this time I'm going to make it slightly lighter. So I'm going to take the opposite end arrow and slide that down so the whole picture is brightened up considerably, and just minimize that to get that out of the way. So same technique. I'm going to choose a large soft edge brush at quite a low opacity of about 20%, and again I'm going to invert this layer mask by going Command or Control I until it appears black and the effect disappears. And then using my paintbrush with a white colour, I'm just going to gradually paint in that lighter effect that the adjustment layer gave me. And you can see, hopefully, that this is now brightening up my details on my harbour wall to a certain extent. Obviously, because my brush is only on 20%, it's only doing a small amount at a time, but this gives you control over the amount of effect that you're having. My brush is too large to go right down to the end of here, so I'm going to make the brush a bit smaller. Then I can go a bit near the end of this seawall and brighten that little bit up as well. Again, this is a matter of taste. You don't really want to overdo it or underdo it, but because you have the ability to reverse the process using black paint on the layer mask, you can't really overdo it or underdo it, because you can just reverse the process. So again, now if I turn off the visibility layer, you can see I have lightened that seawall up to a certain extent. So that really is as simple as that. That's just how you use adjustment layers and layer masks as a dodge and burn tool. And we'll look more at layer masks in the next Photoshop tutorial.